Emotional immunity isn't something you're born with. It's something life forces you to build. It comes from being tested when you were already tired, being doubted when you were already working, and being left when you thought loyalty was mutual. At first, everything hits you. Every word feels personal. Every loss feels permanent. Every delay feels like disrespect. But slowly, through pressure and repetition, something changes. You stop bleeding from every cut. You stop explaining every scar. You stop reacting the way you used to. Not because you don't feel, but because you've learned what feelings are worth your energy. Emotional immunity is when the outside world no longer controls your inner world. When someone's opinion doesn't decide your mood. When someone's absence doesn't steal your focus. When someone's disrespect doesn't force you into proving anything. You realize that peace isn't about controlling people, it's about controlling access. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your emotions. Not everyone deserves your vulnerability. That understanding alone will save you years of unnecessary suffering. At a certain level of growth, you stop expecting fairness. You stop expecting people to think like you, move like you, or love like you. Expectations are emotional debt, and most people will default on it. Emotional immunity teaches you to observe instead of absorb. You see behavior clearly without internalizing it. You understand that how people treat you often has nothing to do with you and everything to do with where they're at mentally. That awareness keeps you steady when chaos is trying to pull you off course. You also learn that being unbothered doesn't mean being numb. It means being selective. You still care, but you care with boundaries. You still love, but you love with awareness. You stop handing out emotional reactions like they're free samples. Your energy becomes currency and you spend it wisely. That's when your confidence stops being loud and starts being rooted. You don't need to announce strength when it's already established. Emotional immunity is built in solitude. In moments where nobody claps, nobody checks on you, nobody sees the work, that's where you train your mind to stay focused without validation. You stop waiting for encouragement and become self-sustained. You learn to motivate yourself on days when motivation doesn't show up. That self-reliance hardens you in the best way. Not bitter, not cold, just solid. There's a point where you stop arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop correcting every false narrative. You stop defending your growth to people who benefited from your old version. Emotional immunity gives you the confidence to let people believe whatever they need to believe while you keep building. Silence becomes strategic. Distance becomes necessary, not as punishment, but as protection. When you develop emotional immunity, setbacks don't derail you. They recalibrate you. Losses don't break you. They sharpen your vision. You stop asking why things happen and start asking how to move forward smarter. You stop romanticizing struggle and start respecting discipline. Feelings come and go, but purpose stays. And once you're locked into purpose, emotions take their proper place instead of running the operation. You also learn to sit with discomfort without self-destructing. You don't numb yourself with distractions. You don't escape through habits that cost you later. You face things head on. That's real strength. That's grown man, grown woman energy. Being able to feel deeply without letting those feelings sabotage your future. Being able to take a hit and still show up the next day consistent. Emotional immunity changes how you move in relationship. You stop begging for effort. You stop chasing closure. You stop trying to convince people of your worth. You understand that alignment doesn't require persuasion. If it's real, it shows. If it's forced, it fades. That clarity saves you from repeating the same cycles with different faces. At the highest level, emotional immunity gives you freedom. Freedom from validation. Freedom from approval. Freedom from the constant need to be understood. You understand yourself, and that's enough. You trust your process even when results are delayed. You stay patient when the vision hasn't caught up to the work yet. You know, it's a marathon, and you're built for distance. Nothing rattles you the same anymore. Not because life stopped testing you, but because you've already passed tests that tried to break you. You've been through enough to know who you are when things go left. And once you reach that point, emotions stop being weaknesses and start becoming tools. You feel them, you learn from them, and then you keep moving, focused, grounded, unshaken. Self-respect is built in silence. Validation is built on noise. One lasts, the other expires. Early on, most people get caught chasing approval because it feels like progress. Likes feel like love. Applause feels like achievement. Being noticed feels like being valued. But none of that holds weight when you're alone with your thoughts at night. That's where self-respect speaks. Quiet, steady, unshakable. Choosing self-respect over validation means deciding that your worth isn't up for public debate. It means you don't need permission to believe in yourself. You stop performing for acceptance and start operating from principle. When your decisions are rooted in who you are instead of how you're perceived, your life gets simpler, even if it gets lonely. Validation is addictive because it's external. It gives instant feedback, instant dopamine, instant comfort, but it's unstable. The same crowd that cheers today can ignore you tomorrow. If your confidence is tied to that, your mood will rise and fall with opinions you can't control. Self-respect cuts that cord. It teaches you to stand firm even when nobody agrees with you yet. There's a moment when you realize that constantly explaining yourself is a sign you don't fully trust yourself. When you respect yourself, you don't over-justify your choices. You let results speak. You let time reveal truth. You move with intention instead of anxiety. That shift changes how people interact with you. Some get uncomfortable. Some fall back. That's not a loss, it's alignment. Self-respect means walking away from situations that drain you even when staying would feel easier. It means saying no without guilt and yes without fear. It means not lowering your standards to avoid being alone. You'd rather stand by yourself than stand beside something that compromises your integrity. That's strength most people never develop. When you stop chasing validation, you stop negotiating your boundaries. You don't laugh at disrespect. You don't tolerate inconsistency. You don't accept half-effort disguised as loyalty. You understand that what you allow teaches people how to treat you. Self-respect makes that lesson clear and non-negotiable. There's also discipline in self-respect. You don't do everything you feel like doing. You don't react to every emotion. You don't chase every opportunity. You move with restraint, with vision, with long-term thinking. You protect your reputation, your time, and your energy because you know what you're building is bigger than temporary comfort. Validation asks, do they like me? Self-respect asks, am I proud of myself? That question changes everything. It affects how you work when nobody's watching, how you speak when you're frustrated, how you treat people who can't do anything for you. Self-respect shows up in consistency, not announcements, in follow-through, not promises, in character, not image. You start to understand that being misunderstood is part of growth. Not everyone is meant to get your vision at the same time. Some people only understand you after you've already won. Self-respect allows you to keep going without dragging everyone along for validation. You don't need witnesses to your grind. Choosing self-respect also means accepting the cost. You will disappoint people who benefited from your lack of boundaries. You will outgrow spaces that once felt like home. You will be labeled different, distant, changed. That's the price of elevation. You pay it willingly because the alternative is staying stuck, shrinking yourself to fit expectations that were never designed for your future. When pressure hits, validation folds, self-respect holds. When criticism comes, validation shakes. Self-respect listens, filters, and adjusts without losing identity. When success arrives, validation gets loud. Self-respect stays grounded. You don't let praise make you sloppy or ego make you careless. You remember the work. You remember the vision. You stay on the marathon. At the end of the day, self-respect is what you're left with when the lights go off, when the numbers stop refreshing, when the crowd goes home. It's the relationship you have with yourself when nobody's looking. And if that relationship is solid, you're already rich. Validation fades, trends change, opinions flip, self-respect endures. And when you move from that place, you don't just look confident, you become untouchable. The marathon mindset is understanding that life isn't built in moments, it's built in miles. Most people want the reward without the repetition. They want the shine without the seasons of being unseen. But long-term vision requires patience, and patience is a discipline most people never train. When you adopt the marathon mindset, you stop rushing outcomes and start respecting process. You realize that consistency beats intensity every time. Early on, it can feel frustrating, moving at a pace that doesn't impress anyone. You're working, but the results are quiet. You're improving, but nobody's noticing yet. That's where most people quit, not because they're incapable, but because they confuse slow progress with no progress. The marathon mindset teaches you to trust incremental gains. Small wins stacked daily turn into undeniable momentum over time. You stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. You understand that everybody's path is customized, different backgrounds, different starting lines, different obstacles. Comparison becomes pointless when you're locked into your own lane. The only competition is yesterday's version of you. As long as you're improving, you're winning. With the marathon mindset, you plan for endurance, not sprints. You don't burn all your energy trying to prove something early. You pace yourself. You build systems that can sustain you when motivation runs low. You prioritize health, focus, and structure because you know this journey is long. Burnout doesn't impress anybody, and crashing out early doesn't get rewarded. You also learn how to take losses without losing belief. Setbacks don't knock you off course, they just adjust your stride. When something doesn't work, you don't take it personal. You analyze, adapt, and keep moving. Emotional reactions slow you down. Strategic adjustments keep you in the race. The marathon mindset sharpens your relationship with time. You stop wasting it on distractions that don't contribute to the bigger picture. You become intentional with who you let around you. Energy matters when you're in this for the long haul. Negative environments drain progress. Focused environments compound it. There's a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you're built for distance. You don't panic when results take longer than expected. You don't get discouraged when others pass you temporarily. You understand that many people start fast, but fade early. You're built to last. Your strength shows up later when it matters most. This mindset also teaches you humility. You respect the journey enough to keep learning. You stay open to growth. You don't let early success make you lazy or late success make you bitter. You stay a student of the game because mastery requires ongoing refinement. Ego slows progress. Curiosity accelerates it. You start valuing alignment over speed. Opportunities come, but not all of them are meant for you. Just because something looks profitable doesn't mean it's sustainable. You choose moves that fit your long-term vision, even if they take longer to pay off. That restraint separates builders from chasers. The marathon mindset changes how you handle pressure. When things get tough, you don't fold. You've already accepted that difficulty is part of the contract. You don't expect smooth roads, you expect obstacles. That expectation keeps you composed when challenges show up. You don't waste energy complaining about the terrain. You adjust your pace and keep going. You also stop needing constant validation. When you're committed long-term, you don't need daily reassurance. You trust your blueprint. You know where you're headed, even if the path isn't clear yet. That certainty allows you to move in silence, stacking progress without announcement. Over time, discipline becomes your advantage. While others rely on motivation, you rely on routine. While others chase trends, you build foundations. While others quit when it gets boring, you understand that boredom is often the doorway to mastery. Staying consistent when it's not exciting is what separates professionals from amateurs. Eventually, the results catch up, not all at once, but steadily. The work compounds, the experience sharpens, the vision clarifies. People start calling it luck, overnight success, perfect timing. They didn't see the miles you put in when nobody was watching. They didn't feel the weight you carry silently. The marathon mindset isn't about speed, it's about sustainability. It's about building something that lasts longer than hype and outlives trends. When you commit to the long game, you don't just reach goals, you become the kind of person who can keep exceeding them. You stay patient, you stay focused, you stay moving, that's how you win.